I'm here with Mark Strauss, who is the professor at Bethel Seminary in San Diego, California, where the weather is always nice. We're actually filming this in San Diego, and it's cold back home where I'm from now at Liberty. So, but Mark, tell us a little bit. One of the things that skeptics like to bring up today is that, well, we have no idea what the New Testament really said. The original words that the gospel authors wrote or that Paul wrote, we don't have those original manuscripts, so we can't have confidence that we actually know what was there.
Sure.
How would somebody, what are some general ways that somebody could respond to this type of thinking?
Yeah, some people are really bothered when they hear we don't have what are called the autographs. We don't have the original copies of what Paul wrote or what Mark wrote or what Matthew wrote. Really, that shouldn't surprise us at all, because if you look at ancient literature in general, the great works of ancient literature, Homer's Iliad or Homer's Odyssey, we don't have original copies of anything. 99% of what was copied down in the ancient world disappeared, turned to dust, because things, over time they just wear out and they disappear. The question is, do we have reliable hand copied documents? This was in the period of BX, before Xerox or before copying or before the printing press, and so everyone copied things by hand. And yet what we do have in the New Testament is we have more reliable manuscript evidence for the New Testament documents than from any ancient work of literature, bar none. By far. We have more than 5,000 manuscripts, handwritten copies of the New Testament, many very early, some within a few decades of when they were actually written. That's far earlier than any other ancient work of literature. And then we have what we call a science and art of textual criticism, which are certain rules that we can basically gauge the way copyists tended to make mistakes as they passed down these documents. So that I think there's a broad consensus among biblical scholars, whether they're conservative, whether they're liberals, that we have something very close to what the original authors actually wrote. Sometimes stated to be something like 95% or so close to what the original authors wrote. So I think we can have confidence in that we have something very close to the originals.
Yeah, and what you were saying about the amount of evidence we have compared to other ancient works, one of the things is that data is, well, it's data. I mean, it's basically raw data.
It's hard evidence,
It's hard evidence, and I don't know of anyone who actually disputes that, no matter where you're at, that there's no other source of literature from that time period that's as well as tested as the New Testament.
Even close, not even close. And yet people would say we have pretty reliable copies of this ancient work or this ancient work or this, and yet they might have a half dozen or at most even the greatest works of Greek literature, maybe 100. We have much larger and much closer. For those Greek works of Greek literature, they might be within 1,000 years of when they were first written, and we have things within a few decades of when the New Testament was written. So no question about it. We have highly reliable manuscript evidence.
Yeah. Well, so one of the takeaways for you guys watching at home is that when you begin to hear this kind of rhetoric about the New Testament, we don't have the original copies, so we can't trust them. I would encourage. There's so many resources out there. There's so much by Christian scholars who are writing and saying, that's just not the case. We can have confidence in the New Testament documents, and that they were, they were very close to the originals, and we likely have the wording. And it's a matter of sometimes we have too much evidence. It's not that we're missing it. We have so many manuscripts. It's like we have 105%. And we've got to figure out okay, we know where their places are where there's a disagreement, and we have a couple different wordings, and oftentimes your Bibles will actually indicate that at the bottom, and they'll say, and that's what they're talking about. And so you don't need to be alarmed by that. This is something that Christian scholars know about, and I would encourage you to read more about it.